Kansas City recently lost a beloved face in local news. Cynthia Newsome, a long-serving anchor and reporter for KSHB 41, passed away on Tuesday following a years-long battle with cancer. Newsome had a decades-long, multi-award-winning career in radio and television journalism. She joined KSHB in 1997 and developed a loving connection with her fellow reporters and anchors, as well as viewers all across the Kansas City metro. Newsome also inspired and mentored many younger journalists in Kansas City. One such journalist, KSHB reporter Ray Daniels, joined Steve to discuss the impact Newsome had on this city and her own life and career. Let's listen.
Ray, welcome. Good to see you again, and condolences to you and the entire 41 newsroom.
Thank
so sorry.
You. That really means a lot, Steve.
Did it seem important to her to act as a mentor to you and other younger staff members at KSHB?
Absolutely, and I think most importantly, she wanted to be a friend. I mean, you know, when we're dealing with heavy, as you know, Steve, you know, news can be so heavy. It can be mentally draining at times. And there were moments where I would just have breakdowns and just cry. And I would call her, or she would say, hey, come step in the edit bay with me for a second and we can talk about this. And it was just a beautiful reminder that she always poured so much love into everyone that she talked to. And so, like, and just reminding you, like, hey, you are worthy. You are so worthy. You are so enough. And so to be hearing that when you can sometimes feel mentally drained, it's just like, okay, I can do this for another day.
I mean, it sounds like she was just present all the time.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah.
And not just for us, for the community. I mean, I was reading some of the comments and someone said, she was Kansas City. And when you think of Kansas City, you think of how kind people are.
Right.
And that was the second word people were saying. She's so kind. And one of the last conversations I had with her when I interviewed her last May was she said, you know, you never know what someone's going through. So if you could just say a prayer for them and be kind to them, that is the main thing. And so you have this word of kind just being intertwined throughout her entire life, really. And that's who she was.
She had quite a career. Were there any, you know, specific stories she spoke of often, or any of her work that inspired you as you moved along in your career?
I mean, definitely her work with Awesome Ambitions and how she was able to create.
Tell us what that is.
Yeah, it's basically a nonprofit she started basically when she first got here, and it was a college readiness program and helping build that confidence with young girls. One woman actually commented underneath Cynthia's post and said, had it not been for Cynthia Newsome and Awesome Ambitions, I don't know if I would have made it through high school. And so just hearing that, that's probably one of hundreds of young women that she's inspired and impacted. And so when
just an important thing to do.
Absolutely.
I mean, targeted in exactly a place of great need in our society.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she filled that need, and people are so grateful for it. So seeing her talk to these young girls and women, it definitely inspired me. Like, hey, what can I do to use my gift to inspire, especially our younger generation?
I'm wondering, was there something else you learned from her in terms of work habits and the way she approached covering the news and reporting on the news?
Cynthia did her research, like back and forth and back. She will double check, overly check scripts just to make sure, one, obviously that it's accurate, two, that it sounds like her, and is this the best information that we are getting out to our viewers? And so that is a huge thing that I took away from her, because we'd be, 5 minutes until the midday show, and Cynthia was still looking at scripts because she's like, I just want to make sure every single thing I'm reading and saying, one, is accurate, one, is important to our viewers, and that it gets across, and it comes as me, you know?
Yeah,
so
right, because it's so easy to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? God knows I live in that place.
Yeah,
it's so easy. Ray, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Thanks for remembering her for us.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much,
it very
Steve.
much.
Thank
bet.
you.
That was Steve Kraske in conversation with Ray Daniels.
My mellow man. On top of top.
Yeah, that was the summertime, but you know what comes with the summertime? Beef.
Teenagers across the country are lining up their summer plans right now, and many are hoping for a spot in one of the jobs programs run by city governments. Kids get a job and the government pays their salary. The bill to taxpayers is usually justified as an investment in developing the workforce down the road. Is it worth it? Sarah Heller is an economist at the University of Michigan and studies summer youth employment programs. Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
So most big cities around the country have summer jobs programs for teenagers, and some have been around long enough to show some long-term data. So which programs have you studied?
So I myself have studied one summer Chicago. I've worked with Philadelphia Work Ready and a little bit in New York City, their summer jobs program as well.
Okay, and what was the big takeaway? Like, does getting a summer job actually help teenagers?
Almost all of these programs are oversubscribed. That is, more kids want to participate than can participate. And that sets us up to do something called a randomized control trial, where you allocate the slots by lottery. There's a couple benefits to that. One is that it's fair. The other is that it sets us up to really isolate the effect of the program itself.
And you've compared those groups. So basically you're comparing apples with apples.
Exactly. The only difference between those two groups is the flip of a coin.
Is the flip of a coin. And what did you find?
So as you said when you started, I think a lot of policymakers think that these programs are workforce development programs. And in practice, we don't really find that. What we do find instead is that crime goes down. So the people who are offered a slot end up arrested less, arraigned less, incarcerated less. And the effects aren't small. They're on the order of 30 to 40%, typically declines in violent crime, although not always. And in fact, in New York, they even found a decline in mortality, an 18% decline in mortality.
You know, it makes sense that a teenager, if they're busier, that they won't get in trouble. But what about the rest of the year, like after the summer job ends? Do you see an impact there?
You can throw out the data from the summer of the program itself, and you still see a decline in violent crime through the year after the program. So the young people are taking something with them from the program beyond just keeping busy, what we would sort of call an incapacitation effect over the summer, where they're just busier in their job.
These are expensive programs. Cities pay millions of dollars to run them. Do you look at this as a good investment? As you said, it lowers crime and it may keep kids alive. But I guess, like, how do you weigh the cost of all of that?
Violent crime, for example, has a range of negative social effects. It affects the victims, obviously, and their families. It harms communities. It harms, the offenders and has legal costs and everything else. And there have been efforts to sort of put dollar figures on that. And so we can try to answer that question. And I think in settings where we see violent crime go down, it seems like the benefits basically outweigh the costs, maybe sort of breaking even, maybe doing a little bit even better than break even. And in New York, when programs are, as you say, saving lives, the benefit of saving lives is so large that there it's very clear that these programs passed a benefit cost test.
That's Sarah Heller. She's a professor of economics at the University of Michigan and studies large social programs intended to help disconnected young people. Thank you so much, Sarah.
It's a pleasure to have been here. Thanks.
I've seen what's around the corner. I've seen what's over the horizon. And I promise you, you niggas have nothing to celebrate. And no, I won't get there with you. I'm going to Canada.
Now, Canada's favourite coffee chain is finding itself at the centre of a big national debate. Tim Hortons is promising 10,000 local jobs as criticism over youth unemployment and foreign worker programmes continues to make headlines across the country. But is this a genuine push to support local communities or a carefully brewed image makeover? Well, here now is how a simple cup of coffee has become part of Canada's grinding battle over jobs, identity and opportunity.
For generations of Canadians, Tim Hortons has been far more than just a coffee shop. In many ways, the chain has long sold something bigger than coffee, a comforting image of Canadian community life itself. But in recent years, that image has become tangled in a growing cultural and political debate around immigration, foreign labour and identity. Online, critics have increasingly used the nickname Sing Hortons, a racist term referencing the chain's visible South Asian workforce, particularly Punjabi immigrants, international students and temporary foreign workers. The phrase, often paired with terms like Timmigrants, has spread widely across social media, where some see it as political satire, while others view it as offensive stereotyping targeting immigrant communities. Now, facing mounting backlash and boycott calls, Tim Hortons is attempting to reset the conversation. The company has launched a major hiring campaign aimed at recruiting 10,000 local Canadian workers as it expands across the country and tries to reclaim its neighbourhood image. The campaign arrives at a sensitive moment in Canada's labour debate. Over the past few years, businesses across the country, especially in hospitality and food service, leaned heavily on the temporary foreign worker programme to survive post-pandemic labour shortages. Tim Hortons was among the companies pushing the government to loosen access to the programme during the staffing crisis that followed COVID-19. But 2026 is a very different economic landscape. With youth unemployment climbing nationally, public frustration over jobs and wages has intensified, particularly online where debates around temporary foreign workers have become increasingly heated. Tim Hortons appears keenly aware of that changing mood. The company says 45% of its workforce is made up of people aged between 15 and 24, reinforcing its reputation as one of Canada's biggest employers of young workers. Franchise owners reportedly hosted more than 400 local hiring events earlier this year, with more planned throughout 2026. At the same time, the company is also addressing the elephant in the room: foreign labour. Out of approximately 110,000 employees across the Tim Hortons system, the company estimates around 4,000 workers were hired through the temporary foreign worker programme. Roughly 3.6% of all roles. The figure, Tim Hortons says, has steadily declined since 2024. The brand insists those positions were concentrated in areas facing severe labour shortages and only filled after going through government approval processes. But the fact that the company is now publicly emphasising local hiring reflects just how politically and culturally charged the issue has become. Still, Tim Hortons is careful not to frame the conversation as anti-immigration. Instead, the company is doubling down on Canada's multicultural identity, stressing that anyone entitled to work in Canada is welcome at its restaurants. Students, international students, Indigenous workers, people with disabilities, mature workers and newcomers are all part of what the brand calls its commitment to diversity.
This is why I've always wanted to be a cop.
Tonight, an investigation that the Denver Police Department fought to keep hidden. A powerful commander accused of bullying, abuse, and intimidation inside her own ranks. Tonight, for the first time, we are revealing what is inside that secret report. An outside investigator alleges in a report that Division Chief Megan Dodge created an abusive work environment and tormented subordinates, sabotaging and interfering with police work. One officer interviewed in this report said department commanders are willing to destroy each other for their own ends. The report was completed 5 months ago. The police chief says he hasn't read it, and Megan Dodge has not been disciplined. Your investigator, Brian Moss, obtained that report. And, Brian, this raises serious questions about accountability inside DPD.
Yeah, Denver taxpayers spent $110,000 on this report, Michael, and they've waited more than a year for it to come out. After hearing what's in it, you might see why the city of Denver was not anxious to release this. A 66-page report commissioned by the city of Denver but kept secret until now. We asked for the report months ago, but the city refused to release it, saying they were still going through it, trying to determine next steps. We obtained it by other means and redacted some portions of the report to protect the privacy of the people interviewed. The report, authored by former U.S. Attorney for Colorado Robert Troyer, who is now an independent investigator, describes Megan Dodge as severely abusive, toxic, ruthless. The Troyer report alleges she targeted her own officers, in one case throwing boxes at an officer trying to transfer because she thought it made her look bad. The report also alleges she ordered a subordinate to work while she knew he was on leave caring for his wife after cancer surgery, actions he called malicious. He developed a hatred of going to work. The impact, they say, went beyond the job. One officer reported hair loss, another developed ulcers, and a third suffered panic attacks. Several told investigators they suffered sleep loss and high anxiety. All they said after working for Dodge. Investigators interviewed dozens of officers and civilian employees. A male police lieutenant told the investigators he previously had bad bosses, but Megan Dodge was way beyond any of them. She just about destroyed him, he said. Some days, he told investigators, he could barely bring himself to put on his uniform. He sought psychological counseling as a result.
I think it covers a broad spectrum of a lot of years of, abuse, retaliation, and bullying. And, here we are.
One of those employees, Philip Martinez. He ran the real-time crime center for Denver police, tracking protests, crimes in progress, critical incidents.
The majority of this stuff is documenting.
He says he felt he was making a difference.
I loved it. I loved the people. I thought my work mattered.
But he resigned 5 months ago, saying Dodge undermined his authority and blocked him from disciplining employees.
My personal situation that I encountered with her, I thought it was completely unethical, it was unprofessional, and it was conduct unbecoming of an executive officer.
The report suggests a pattern, not just of behavior, but of power. It also criticizes Dodge's husband, Justin, who is a Denver police sergeant. Investigators substantiated the couple manipulated, intimidated, and interfered with a subordinate's participation in one internal affairs case. The report says when investigators interviewed Justin Dodge, we conclude that Sergeant Dodge was not truthful in his interview. Both Justin and Megan Dodge declined to discuss the investigation with CBS Colorado, referring questions to the Director of Public Safety, who said he couldn't discuss it due to an ongoing disciplinary process. One commander claims Megan Dodge described leadership this way: cut people's heads off, put them on a pike, and parade them around the office. Investigators wrote her conduct was severe and pervasive, purposeful, personal, angry, and mean. Another colleague alleges her abuse targeted those who could not fight back. One witness told investigators that after allegedly bullying subordinates, she then demeaned them by telling them, "You should just be thankful I'm holding you accountable." Witnesses said Dodge intentionally made it impossible to succeed, impairing their abilities to do police work. Troyer, the independent investigator, wrote that Dodge's denials about her behavior when he interviewed her were nonsensical.
Does all that meet your definition of misconduct?
If that were to have occurred, certainly.
Despite paying for the report, despite being interviewed for it, and despite saying he trusts the investigators, Denver Police Chief Ron Thomas says he has not read it.
She's one of your division chiefs.
Correct.
I'm surprised that given that you're not more interested in taking a look at that report at this point in time.
Well, I am interested in the results of that investigation and hope that it comes to a conclusion so that we can move on.
In this interview, Thomas acknowledged hearing negative reports about Dodge's leadership as far as 5 or 6 years ago, but he called her an intelligent and strong leader with a keen eye for risk.
I think that she is a very direct communicator. I think that she is a very stern leader, and I know that mix doesn't always rub people the right way.
2 years ago, he promoted her to one of the top positions in the department.
After hearing these concerning statements about her, did you ever ask for an investigation of any sort?
No. There was nothing that I saw or was told that deterred me from believing that she should be promoted to the rank of division chief.
Even while this investigation was underway, Thomas sent Dodge to the prestigious FBI National Academy, a 10-week course that requires candidates to be of good moral character and have a record of outstanding service.
You're a pretty big fan of hers.
I have been. I have been disappointed that a lot of things that have come out.
I figured I would give it one more go.
Philip Martinez says he is now speaking out because many still inside the department, he says, are afraid of Dodge's wrath, afraid of revenge. But he says this is bigger than one person.
This is an executive leader in the police department. Where's the public trust at? If you can't be trusted internally, how can you be trusted externally?
He calls it a question of trust, not just inside the department, but with the public it serves.
Chief Thomas says the report has now been sent to the Denver Sheriff's Department for review and possible recommendations. He says he is respecting the process by not reading it at this point in time. And reiterating here, we have had multiple communications with Division Chief Dodge about this report. She did decline to respond.
Now, Brian, if there is a disciplinary process after all these months, what are the possible outcomes here?
Yeah, well, it's important to note here, Michael, that the independent investigation did substantiate two really significant cases against Commander Dodge. One, that she created a hostile work environment as a district commander, and two, that she and her husband manipulated and interfered with an internal affairs case. So if the city agrees with this outside investigation and its conclusions, discipline could range from hardly anything up to demotion or termination. But a lot of officers inside the department who I speak to are skeptical that it's ever going to really get that far.
Of course, something you will continue to keep tabs on.
We will.
Great work as always, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The first thing we're going to do, I think, stop racism and stop focusing on racism.
Stop focusing on racism.
Tonight, Amazon is pushing back on claims from a former employee at their York County fulfillment center that he was racially discriminated against in the workplace.
The federal lawsuit from Fredley Kador, a black man of Haitian descent, says he was hired as a warehouse associate in August of 2023. And shortly after starting, he was called deeply offensive slurs, the likes of which we will not repeat during this broadcast. In one specific incident, a coworker made monkey sounds at him, beat her chest, and said he looked like he belonged in a zoo. He said, saying that allegedly in front of another coworker. Kador says he reported the discrimination multiple times, but his managers told him nothing could be done. And he says he was eventually fired because he would leave work to avoid the hostile work environment. He would leave early. He's seeking back pay and damages through this lawsuit. An Amazon spokesperson tells News 8 Today on the lawsuit, quote, "We don't tolerate retaliation or harassment of any kind in our workplace. We expect all employees to adhere to our policies and local laws, and we take appropriate action when that's not the case."
So on behalf of the people of the state of Washington, I want all those individuals to know that we stand with you. We'll be here to do everything we can to help with the situation, and we'll be here as long as it takes.
As long as it takes. Washington's governor, along with state and local leaders and first responders in Longview tonight, sharing an immense amount of grief and concern over this. A chemical tank that blew up this morning at a paper and pulp mill, killing one person, injuring 9 others, with 9 more unaccounted for, and a recovery process now underway. Thanks for being with us on what's been a very tough day and night in the Northwest. I'm David Mulco. The implosion in the aftermath at the Nippon Dynawave plant along the Columbia, described by one elected leader as a test of our ability to come together. Family tonight confirming the man who died was this man, 52-year-old Gilbert Bernal. He worked at the plant along with his son and about 1,000 other workers. Photos show what appears to be the collapsed tank along with a pickup truck crushed under a pole, giving you a sense of the scale of the tragedy, with officials saying water and air quality testing is ongoing. And while there is no wider risk to Longview or Kelso residents at this time, they're asking them to avoid dikes and ditches in the area, saying there is still a substantial risk at the mill and beyond. Let's bring in Alma McCarty now live in Longview, where family and friends held a vigil to come together and to lift each other up. Alma?
Yeah, and before that vigil even began, the community heard from Washington's governor all the way down to Longview's mayor, all of them promising support and eventually answers in this tragedy. Now, here on site, the work to stabilize that damaged tank that contained the chemical mixture, that work will resume tomorrow morning. Now, state and local officials are confirming that 1 person has died and 9 employees of Nippon Dynawave Packaging are still missing. 9 others were injured, including a firefighter. Officials saying tonight that until the tank is stable, crews cannot go in to search for those who are missing. Since this morning, we have learned that the tank that ruptured held 900,000 gallons of white liquor. Fire crews believe roughly 90,000 gallons of that strongly alkaline chemical solution, that caustic solution, may remain inside of the damaged tank. This chemical mixture is used to break down solid wood chips in the pulp and paper production process. In Longview's downtown tonight, dozens gathered for a prayer vigil after so much pain and so much uncertainty ahead, as leaders again vowed to provide answers in due time.
I know there's a lot of questions about how all of this happened, and I want to assure you that we will all continue to pressure to get answers to those questions. This community deserves that.
The loss of life is the hurt that it will echo through this community for years, and we're still going through the first response somewhat of this.
Most of us knew this was more than just a normal mill incident. You know, you get conveyor fires, you get incidents with machines. We knew this was more than that very quickly.
State Senator Jeff Wilson, who you heard from there, he is also the Port of Longview Commissioner, and he worked here for decades, and his son works on site. He is one of many families in Longview that has deep ties, deep connections to this industrial area, as, of course, a mill town. There are a lot of agencies and people who are going to be on site helping with this effort. The state even sending in the National Guard to assist. Certainly a lot more updates to come, with the latest updates happening tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. That is when officials expect more information to be released. For now, David, back to you.
Safety first. Context of white supremacy. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information for non-white people, victims of white supremacy, information to keep us safe in the workplace. Neutralizing workplace racism. Today's date, Thursday, May 28, 2026. So I have been told. Our weekly broadcast, not for spectators, neutralizing workplace racism. Certainly not for folks to kick their feet back, be mute, listening attentively or no. If you have figured out some strategies to help get a raise, help to keep non-white people from being fired, laid off, demoted. Hey, you got any strategies to help us to keep them from throwing boxes at our skull on the job if we decide to transfer? If you got any of those, any strategies, I keep saying, so that I arrived from my shift 10 fingers, 10 toes. When it was time to leave, I still had 10 fingers, 10 toes, and I was still alive. See, that's extra one too. I don't just want all my appendages and I'm no longer with us in the physical. I want to be alive, kicking, unscratched, unharmed, and I got all my appendages. Safety first. Always looking for tips to stay safe in the workplace. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Certainly, if you're having problems, maybe even thinking your work environment is unsafe, and you want some tips, suggestions, counter-racist logic to make things a little bit safer, the number to dial, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Alrighty. Before we get into all of these segments and such, I cannot stress enough, I had been viewing from a distance the evacuations which have concluded in Southern California. They had the threat of a rupture at some sort of chemical plant, and they had to get all these people evacuated, and oh my goodness, it could be an explosion, blah, blah. I said, man, living in the greater Los Angeles area, oh man, like breathing down there seems like it is always a problem for whatever reason. So glad I do not live in SoCal anywhere near LA. So I'm watching all that in LA at the beginning of the week, and then right as that was kind of, they were getting it under control, I'm saying, I think it's not going to be a threat of an explosion and people can come back and all the rest of it. Right about at the same time, I looked and saw the situation in Longview, Washington, which is not Seattle. It's relatively, for people in New York, it's all the same thing. People in Iran, people in Australia, people in South Africa, hey, it's all the same thing. But Longview is about 120 miles from Seattle. I truthfully am not sure I have been to Longview. Not that that means anything, but either way, Longview is not Seattle, and I guess they're relatively close, however you feel about that 120. But I looked and saw that, and they were talking about practically the same thing. Basically, wow. Like, the plantation in general is unsafe. That is exactly why I say safety first, and I mean primarily you first. The report that we heard was a little bit older, and I mean, hey, that's relative too when I say a little bit, because it did just happen. But it is 2 confirmed deaths, 11 presumed fatalities in all of this. Come on. Workplace safety. That is nothing to play with. You want to take that extra serious. Everybody wants to go home at the conclusion of their shift. As I said, the plantation is unsafe. So, unfortunately, many of us work in situations where there are going to be a lot of dangers. Most of the time over the past year, we've been talking about the danger of other black employees being rowdy with you for whatever reason. Now we get back to some of the other dangers that can happen in the workplace. There are lots of hazards. If you got those young people getting those summer jobs, hey, safety in the workplace. You can get all the raises and promotions and big offices and big titles that you can imagine. If you don't make it home safely, none of those other cool things matter as much. And even here in Longview, I don't know how many black people they have, because Washington is kind of a super white state, especially the further you get away from Seattle. And like I said, now, relatively speaking, 120 miles, you have moved a distance. That ain't Tacoma more, so ain't gonna be too. I have to look and give you the demographics for Longview, but I bet it's a lot fewer Leroys in Longview than Seattle. Just saying. So this is from the New York Times, even though I think I did post from the Seattle Times to go local, which I normally prefer, but New York Times. People in Longview, Washington have been waiting for what feels like forever for something to go terribly wrong in one of the paper mills that line the Columbia River. That right there kind of caught my attention. Like I said, I haven't been to Longview. I certainly don't know about their industries and such, but you should know that if you are a non-white person, that in my view would be a part of the research of your job, the specific site that you work or career. How dangerous is this here job? Like, is this one of those jobs where be like, oh, we knew there was going to be an explosion, at the plant or whatever, that type, like, oh man, you want to know that up front. Like they tell you when you join the fire department, this is dangerous, and you get all the appropriate training. You don't want to be on a job that is really dangerous and you are not adequately prepared, and or people don't behave like this is a really dangerous job to have. Continuing, there's a lot of the latter. People behave like this is not really a dangerous job. They don't take safety serious. That's kind of a hallmark of the system of white supremacy, which is inherently unsafe. The plants that fuel the economy in southwest Washington came from the ample timber in the Pacific Northwest's mountains, the cheap electricity powered by the region's mighty rivers, and the ocean access at the Columbia's mouth. But they rely on technology that is dangerous, expensive to maintain, and dependent on potentially toxic chemicals. They also belong to companies pressed to cut costs in response to rising prices and economic uncertainty in global markets. So, the tank failure at the Nippon Dinawave packaging facility Tuesday that killed at least, well, again, it is presumed 11 fatalities, have saddened this community far more than it shocked people. Also important. Now they have a new worry: what will become of the plant and its 550 employees? Everything is stretched so thin, of course it's going to break, said Representative Mary Glusenkamp Perez, a Democrat whose district includes the plant. This is systemic. I'm skipping a few paragraphs just where they talk about the generational nature of the plant, where dads and sons worked together and everybody knew one another. All of that right in here just to get some more of the details. Longview evolved, embracing large-scale industrial work along the riverfront. Today, nearly 1 in 5 jobs in Cowlitz County is tied to manufacturing, and much of the work involves either turning Northwest logs into paper products or putting them on trains and boats. That shift kept Longview economically viable, but it also brought risk. Competition has increased pressure to produce on tighter budgets. The remaining mills rely on huge machines and hazardous chemicals, including, wait for it, white liquor. A caustic mixture used to turn wood chips into paper pulp. I did get it correct. Workers at the Nippon Dinawave factory turned wood pulp into bleached liquid paperboard packaging used in milk and juice cartons. The tank that ruptured Tuesday held 600,000 gallons of white liquor before the explosion and 25,000 gallons after the blast, according to rescue officials. I do think one important portion, when I read this, they went over all that, we have to do more, and we're under tight budget constraints, and oh man, it's going to fail, and what's going to happen. I believe I've seen reports where they said initially they thought there were maybe 90,000 gallons of the white liquor in the container. And then they found out, oh, wait a minute, it might have been hundreds of thousands of gallons of white liquor. Oh, it's going to ruin and damnation throughout. A little bit more, and then some spilled into the Columbia River. Some entered the nearby stormwater drainage system. Environmental regulators are not sure how much or where the rest went, though they have said there is no air quality risk and no risk to the local water supply. City crews are flushing the stormwater system near the plant because of contamination. These companies, they're like sleeping demons, said Jeremy Witten, who works in shipping at the North Pacific Paper Company plant just down Industrial Way from the Nippon Denowave facility. And they go on to talk about the folks and such, but man, you work for a factory like this, oh man, you want to be very aware of all of the safety concerns and all that. Is this one of those places where something happens and everybody said, oh, we knew this was going to happen, it was just a matter of time? Like, you want to know that, like, oh man, you want to be thinking about that in advance. How much of a risk do I want to subject myself to? Is there a safer job that I can acquire? These are serious questions you want to think about, because there are a lot of environments. Sometimes it is not malicious intent, but there are a lot of environments where the exact safety regulations are not being followed for a variety of reasons. But at the end of the day, it comes out the same. The precise safety regulations are not being followed. You want to be aware of all the safety regulations, and are they being followed? That's the type of thing you want to speak up about, especially if it's you who might be the one. Now, I don't have all 10 fingers. You might be the one. Now, I didn't make it home that day. I was going good for a while, but you don't want, especially when you saw there is a problem. That's like Tumbling Dice. He drives the school bus, I believe, in California, hopefully not SoCal. But he was saying that, hey, you know, I drive the school bus. The children supposed to be our future, they say, and the brakes aren't working. They got, you know, serious problem. This is well beyond just the windshield wipers are a little wobbly. There's serious business here. And he would go and say something. He'd say, oh, shut up. Shut up. Making all that noise. Shut up. It'll be fine, you know. Just spray some windshield wiper fluid on it. They'll take care of it. We don't even have to write it down. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I say, oh no, you say something about that, because then too, you got those children. You don't want it to be, you tried to say something, they told you to be quiet, something happens, and then they blame you. They love to blame victims of white supremacy. So, no way. If, hopefully not, but I mean, hey, if this is, you get in trouble because you were reporting, there are safety violations. This could be a potential hazard. Maybe even a workplace fatality. We don't want that, do we? Question. If you get in trouble for that, hey, let's deal with it. And that might even be something that, you know, you get you a Johnny Cochran and cha-ching, you can work with that a little bit. But hey, say, especially if it's on paper, we're supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z, and we're not doing that. Why? Especially if I might die because we're not doing that. Why? Question for sure. Get on the ball about that, man. Like, see, especially if you work with the white liquor, you want to follow all, and I mean all, of the safety protocols. Dr. Cambon called them cesspoolians. Dump white liquor everywhere, do it on purpose. Gallons of it. Won't even tell you how many gallons of it. They do it on purpose. That's white culture. So you really got to kind of expect this in some way, shape, form on your job. Be alert. That's why I said sometimes the counter-racism might B, channeling Dr. Welsing, I see some unsafe work practices here. I need to say something about that. The life I save might be my own. I need to say something about that. Maybe ask a question about that. Verify what the policy and the safety regulations are about this. Call to OSHA, all of the above, but the counter-racism might be speaking up about safety on your job. Very important. Some of the other reports that we heard at the beginning, the safety or the situation in Longview, Washington, that was at the tail end. At the beginning, they recognized the passing of black female victim of white supremacy, Cynthia Newsom. She worked at KSHB, and I thought it was important. One, they recognized her work with high schoolers, children. Had some of the folks in high school say that if it had not been for Miss Newsom, they wouldn't have finished high school. Wow. That is powerful. That person might end up being the person who replaces white supremacy with justice, figures out the problem, or anything, constructive. But to make time to help aid students, young scholars who could be future journalists, and also to take time, newer journalists. I don't see them as competition and we're immediate enemies and, I'm not going to look out for you or talk to you or I'm going to give you misinformation. Not at all. In fact, if I see you, looks like you might be, having a tough day for whatever reason, let's go and talk privately. We won't sit out at the water cooler so everybody can be spying and snooping and all that. Let's see if we can get away, find a private location, and check in. See how you're doing. If you need any assistance, anything that I can do, like, wow, that is, commendable. I think lots of folks would say that they often have not had that type of support in the workplace. And I've also heard folks who, when they have had it, they have talked about how grateful that they have been to get that assistance from another victim of racism. So kudos to Cynthia Newsom, just passed away, her career and efforts to aid other victims of white supremacy, get a few extra black journalists on air or reporting all formats. We heard the report about the correlation between getting summer employment and there being a drop in crime. Not that I found that surprising. I think there may have been other studies that examine, is there a relationship to people having employment and how does that impact crime for the same people or in the same region. But even once the summer is done, they said for about the next year, you still see a substantial disparity or difference in the group of children. They got the summer job program and the children who did not. As they shared, clearly these children are taking something away from this experience of getting these summer jobs. And even, I thought, wow, even a decline in mortality rates for the children who got these employment opportunities. Like, wow. Jesse Jackson say, I am somebody. And maybe even some of that just skill acquisition. Like, wow, getting these tasks, maybe it's challenging and all that, and you get some money, that's great. But just, oh, okay, that was tough. I learned some things, so now I know a little bit more. And I learned some things about myself that I can accomplish and do even some tasks that are a little bit rugged. And, hey, even if I have to learn a new skill, I can do that too. Wow, okay. On to the next thing. I feel a little bit better about myself. I can see how that might have a lot of impacts way beyond just it kept me from looting and shooting dice over the summertime, which has its benefits too, for sure. It even, because they said, and that was Sarah Heller doing the report on NPR, she said that these are government subsidized programs, lots of interest, more children that want to do it than they have job opportunities available. I thought of the late Grandsister, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She used to speak all the time about, hey, you have all of this black male unemployment. You could have government provided employment, just like they had during the Depression. Lord knows we have more than enough problems and things that need doing, constructive things that need doing, cleaning up and planning and all kinds of things. So, I mean, hey, get to it. They could do that. It could be as a government subsidized, government provided employment opportunities, so that will eradicate some of this black male unemployment, and you might see the exact same effects. Decline in mortality, decline in crime rate. Leroy is not breaking into your house. Hey, Leroy ain't even out on the corner shooting dice anymore. How about that? They could do the exact same thing. They don't want to do that. They like it the way it is. Interestingly, right after the report, Sarah Heller talking about summer employment correlation with crime and even mortality rates in New York State, I believe. We heard the report in Canada, Tim Hortons coffee shop, where there, I guess, outrage amongst people classified as white north of the U.S. border, where they're upset because they say, Tim Hortons, you have too many of these non-white immigrants coming in here to serve our cup of Joe. Dr. Welsing moment for that one as well. Is I go into old Tim Hortons and I want it to be Canadians, and it ain't even Canadian. That's kind of funny because they, Dr. Joe Fegan told us that they say Mondays, that's it. Well, I think Canadians is it too. They say we got too many Canadians in here, that's code for Negro sometimes. So that's in it. Say we want more Canadians. Just make it plain. So you want more white people? Yes, I want more white people when I go to get my coffee and donut at the Tim Hortons. I will say, I have never, ever, I think, seen a Tim Hortons. I believe they have them in many locations in North America, like Canada, States. I've been to Canada. I have never seen a Tim Hortons. I will have to be on the lookout, maybe I just even to see the demographics of the employees if I ever stumble upon one. It is remarkable, at least to me. I'd never heard of Tim. If you had asked me like, hey, Gus T, we'll give you $500,000 just for being Negro if you can name a coffee shop in Canada where the initials of the establishment are TH. That would have been my answer, because I'd have been struggling like, ooh-wee. Let me see if I can ring up some of our listeners in Canada, or I don't know, or get on my, do some searching or get the AI, because man, I don't know. And only within the last maybe 5 days, that answer may have changed, where I might have got it, because Tim Hortons now means something to me, because Anita Grayson, probably part of even why I played that segment, even though it was pretty directly linked to racism, I thought. But we just spoke about Anita Grayson, black female in her 70s, I believe 72, went to Tim Hortons in Indiana, went through the drive-thru. She allegedly got unsatisfactory service, attempted to go inside, conflict ensued, and she ended up dying. They're still adjudicating and going to see, what happens or, what won't happen. But either way, Ms. Grayson is deceased. Family is distraught. Just talked about that at a Tim Hortons. And then I see this. I said, man, I'm not going to Tim Hortons. They might have the best croissants in the world. I am good. I'll go in and just let me grab a napkin, and then I'll take note of the employee demographics. I'm good. We don't need all them pastries and sugar, and we don't need all them sugary caffeinated beverages either. But they do all the same name calling up north relative, right? Or actually, know what? Parts of Seattle are further north than Canada. Like Toronto, for instance. You can look on the map and see this, so can't even say that. Anyway, but they do the name calling. That's white culture worldwide. As they call them, Timmigrants. Timmigrants. So they got too many dark people working, serving the dark beverages. And then I paid attention because I so appreciate that was first post. They said, unless I am ignorant and didn't hear it correctly, but they said old Tim Hortons, 3.6% of the workforce is these old non-white immigrant people. 3.6. Look, round up and give them 5. We give them 5. Is that much to grouse about? You go to Tim Hortons, and now, if I'm upset that they got non-white people working there, now it might be a whole lot of dark people who actually were born in Toronto, especially if we're talking like the Toronto area and some of the other larger cities in Canada. If they're talking Ontario or Montreal, wherever, oh man, they might be upset seeing dark people there. But I mean, some of these folks were born there. Like, I don't know, Shea, we got the playoffs, NBA. Wasn't he born in Canada? I mean, you see him, God forbid, but if, the terrible happened, they lose to Wemby or whatever, if old SGA has to go back north or go back to Canada, if he get a job at Tim Hortons, they not fussing at him. He was born there. Now, or are they? We want white faces at the Tim Hortons. We don't even want SGA there. You get your trophy and go sit down. We want white people serving the coffee, donuts, and all that good stuff at the Tim Hortons. Now, if that's what it is, then we don't even get, because they said 3.6. I'm gonna give you 5. They said about 5% of the workforce, unless I misheard, is so-called these dark immigrant. I mean, so if you got 10 people working there, I mean, one is rounding up. Like if you got 10, it could be maybe you got 1, maybe it's none. I'm going to give you the 1. 1 is rounded. That's enough to make you upset? The way they were talking, like if it's immigrants, you go there and everybody who works there is non-white. I don't think that could be the case. Racists got a penchant for that lion, that's worldwide. But I'm going to have to see, folks can let me know if you frequent Tim Hortons. Do they have a lot of dark people working, serving your coffee at the Tim Hortons? I don't go out to get coffee, so I normally, I don't Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme and Starbucks and all that stuff. I don't normally do all that stuff, so I don't really pay attention to, do they have a lot of non-white people? Is it white people? Should I be upset about, what the demographics are? I'm not sure. Let's see. The Denver Police Department, Megan Dodge. I just found the spelling of her first name peculiar. Apparently it's Magen. I have not seen that before. But to me, I believe this is a female classified as white. Miss Dodge at the police department in Denver. This is the one where I said if you have any suggestions on what to do, make sure they are not throwing boxes at your skull in the workplace. Apparently those tips are needed. They said Miss Dodge, she is accused, being the highest ranking member of the Denver Police Department. They said that she's accused of all this nepotism, has her husband, Justin, working at the police department, and they go to work intimidate other enforcement officers. I said, wow, that seemed kind of like gangster, I mean, Breaking Bad type of a thing. Like, wait, we at the police department. Why are y'all bullying your fellow officers? Y'all supposed to be doing justice and rooting for the Nuggets type of a thing, rooting for the Broncos. With you messing over people and sabotaging? What is this for? And you work at the police department. Y'all supposed to be peace officers. What they said, we aren't peace officers. Dodge, M-A-G-E-N, Megan Dodge, accused of abusing those who could not fight back. That is white. Man, I'm going to tell you, them phrasing it, that's what they said. Megan Dodge and her husband, Justin, accused of attacking those who could not fight back. That is literally one of the exact definitions for what is a coward. That is white culture. And the people who are most vulnerable, the people who need the most help and are least able, equipped to fight back, are non-white people, especially if they are classified as black. But they love that. That is white culture. Go and beat up on. That's why they have all that child abuse and such. But they love that. That's got, really, we talking Denver. I mean, hey, right down the road. Columbine. Ain't nothing more cowardly. I'm going to go to your child's school library and shoot up folks because I'm mad with my assault weaponry and such, shotguns and such, shoot children who are cowering under a library table. Cowardly. But that's white culture. But that's accused Megan Dodge and her husband at the police department. At the police department. And then retaliating and all the rest of it. Let's see, we heard from former Amazon employee. Now, he might be classified as one of those pretend black people. I'm not sure. Certainly not white. Fred Lee Cator, who said that while he worked at the Amazon facility, he was subjected to slurs. He said that a female came out while he was at work and did the monkey sounds, beat on her chest, and said, "You look like you ought to be in the zoo." Ignorant about racism, they say. I can only say this sort of conduct, I do think it happened. They said that about Obama too, President Trump, for Black History Month just this year. Or I believe not Black History Month, that was January, a couple days early. But that's standard operating procedure, also a hallmark of black culture. Therefore, you, offspring, we non-white people, should expect that sort of tacky. That's what Fuller say. That's triple T. Expecting all of that. The big thing I was thinking, I think Mr. Cator, he did the correct thing. I think they said he left early. I got to check out this hostile. Brilliant. They did not say, "What did you call me? You don't call me. I'm proud and I'm Toussaint's cousin and you don't blah, blah." None of that. None of that. You do not retaliate. You do not respond. You certainly do not get physical. And a big part of all of that is, I expected this, even potentially from non-white people, even potentially from non-white coworkers. I didn't come here thinking we're in a system of justice. I didn't come here thinking that I work with the swellest group of gals and guys that you could ever assemble, and everybody here is the most courteous person ever, and everyone here likes me. and values my thinking. I didn't think that for a millisecond, even if they were all classified as black and had 8 great grandparents, all born in Mississippi. Even then, I did not think for a nanosecond that we would be friends, homies, compadres, sisters, brothers, none of that. So, a comment like that comes out. If anything, could you repeat that, please? Yes, lots of, different ways that you can pull out the phone and record and so repeat that, please. Write down everything that he just said, did, time, date, who was present, all of that. And apparently my man K-Tor said, I am going home. Unsafe, hostile work environment. And I agree. That is unprofessional. It is hostile and it is unsafe. Out of here, I would take notes, but it's lots of constructive things that you can do. None of them involve retaliating it, even verbally. What you mean? You got them raggedy shoes on? None of that. None of that. If anything, I might get back in that question lane. Can you repeat all of what you just said, starting with the monkey part? I got to write all this down, or I got my phone out so I can record now. Expecting that. I didn't think she was my friend. I'm not hurt. At minimum, if a white person said all of this and did all this, the beating on the chest, everything, hey. At minimum, this was a suspected race soldier, so now I got the confirmation. Yes. Let's see. The document ruthlessly, I can't say that enough. And then we already heard about white liquor. Yes. Facts. Okie doke. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Now, last week, I read an email. We had a listener write in, privileged black male, wrote to us about being sexually abused in the workplace. He said that it was another white male employee. Repeat that again. Rethinking Rufus come to mind. The man not. But it was a privileged black male sexually abused by a white male coworker. He did the correct thing. He also did not retaliate. He didn't say, I grabbed a chair and cracked his skull. None of that. In fact, he did the same thing as Mr. K-Tor when he filed a police report. So I guess that's one extra. Filed a police report, exited. Brilliant move. Minimize conflict and creating distance. Brilliant. We talked about all this in more detail, but not only the company, they did allegedly terminate the white sexual offender, allegedly, but they waited a few days, and while the other coworkers made this the subject of their rumor and amusement for weeks, they eventually terminated the black male as well. So hopefully we will get an update and hear how he already has sought legal counsel. So hopefully we will get an update down the road and hear about a massive either settlement or victory with lots of zeros, lots and lots and lots of zeros. And maybe he too can write a book about his counter-racist experience, because that is so important. We've talked about that, and even that experience reminded me. We had, way back in 2000, 2016. Yes, summer of 2016. We had the author of the book Lean In, or Listen In, as a guest on the program, and she talked to us about the workplace and specifically sexual abuse in the workplace. And I said, oh man, very important with regards to the workplace, because this happens all the time. And she said, great suggestions, but she said, I tell clients that I work with, stand, erect, speak clearly, use your voice, not meek, soft, but speak out so that people can hear you. Put some, as they say, bass in your chest. Stand with good posture. Look people in the eye. Step back if they're trying to encroach on your personal space. Like, she gave lots of great detail in explaining all of this. But she added a caveat where she said, I do not say the same thing for black males. And me being brilliant host that day, I asked the question, Lane, why? And she detailed. So it can be difficult in a system of white supremacy. But I think, number one, not thinking you are immune. Anyway, male, female, older, same thing. With 8 to 80, you can be subject to sexual abuse in the workplace. And that can encompass so many things. Unwanted touching, fondling, remarks, them sending you pictures, message. We had the young lady where she talked about the white fella on her job. He would leave like suggestive and unprofessional notes on her work area desk, and even on her vehicle, unless my memory is bad sometimes. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it can encompass so many forms. Just number one, accepting that, okay, this could be a problem, is likely to be a problem, male or female. So this is what I will do. And in fact, some of this even comes back to what I say about, hey, the workplace is not the environment. If you have been, remember we had a non-Clemson grad talk to us about, he was doing the yoga in the workplace, right? And say, I'm going to do my plank pose and everything, so I get my shoulders and get my pectorals on, look good and everything. That's great and everything. And these, I'm wear my, even though I didn't go to Clemson, still wear my bright orange. I'd be looking good in summertime and everything. I said, and somebody one day went right back on it. Hey, you graduated from Clemson, black brother? You sure you played on the football team? They get right back on all that. I say, hey, one thing that we can do when we go to work, I'm trying to wear all my cutest clothes, and they think I'm the most handsome black boy ever when they see me in this. And I am professional, clean. But I said, it's almost like you have a self-imposed uniform. You kind of wear the same thing every day. It doesn't have to be and I'm not saying the word the same clothes. I'm just saying you can get 5 pairs of the same trousers. You can get 5 pairs of the same blouse. You can get 5 pairs of the same sweater, whatever you would wear for your work environment. But it doesn't look like you have radical changes in what you wear from day to day. Even if you just alter the color slightly. And I say, hey, this is not the time for all those garish colors and such. It is the workplace, and we're very muted. Lots of them old beige, black, dark colors, neutral colors. Nothing. You're not going to catch me. Wow, that turquoise. None of that. None. You save that for your free time. You want to wear your burgundy top. You save that for your free time. The young ladies, hey, I ain't eating no Cheetos this winter. I did my yoga and drink my water and everything, and I'm looking cute. I got my toenails done. I'm ready to be cute for the summertime. You do that on your free time. You do not want the thing that people think about in the workplace as it relates to you to be, oh boy, that's a good looking man. No. Competent, professional, manager material. That's what you want them to be thinking about, not your clothing for that day or how good you like. Come on. And all of that to help push away from the coming, petting and feeling and fondling and all the rest of it. I also say, you get a new job, I say ask in the training. For most new jobs, especially if they're serious and they have like a policy and procedure manual, ask when you're going through training about anything. Ask a serious question about whom do we report if there's any form of sexual abuse or unprofessional verbiage, anything of that nature. Who should we report this to, and what does that procedure look like? Asking that sort of question, you're going through the training and such, that sends a clear message. You have your device out or pen and pad out so everyone can see you are taking notes aggressively as you get the response. As though this is very important, just as important as all the benefits and the pay period and everything else. That also sends a message. I think I asked Fuller about this some years ago too, and he said one thing you can do if you have any sort of, for many jobs, not all, but for many jobs, they have like weekly meetings and such. I've had jobs where they have this, where everybody in your department or what have you gets together. If you have someone and they are saying inappropriate things, touching, anything like that, get in that meeting. You don't out the person. You don't say the person's name. You know, we don't do the accusing. Generally want to try to avoid that. But same thing we always say, staying in the question lane. You ask, but put a hand up and ask publicly. Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just hypothetically, so that I can be more informed and support my teammates, make sure that we have a safe, professional work environment. What's the procedure if someone is saying something inappropriate or maybe engaged in fondling? What should we do to get that behavior stopped so that we can continue with our productive and safe work environment? Still in the question lane. Haven't snitched on anyone, and we're just asking for information. I don't know too many jobs that shouldn't be a problem, especially if they have HR staff there. They have rules and regulations that they follow, right? They don't just let you come in and cut a fool and molest anyone you please. If you have an upstanding job where they enforce some merit of rule, law, hey, that should be acceptable. I'm just trying to get clarification, really. And then we can go on whatever else we got for the meeting. Or with it, even better, we can wrap the meeting up. We can go back to work and get out of here. Maybe leave early for the day. Whoopee. But I say ask that sort of question. That sends a message. Uh-oh. This here person is serious. This might not be the person that we want to mess with. We'll pick somebody else. This isn't an easy mark. This person might try and go rat on us, you know, have an investigation about all this. We'll see if we can pick somebody easier. That's the sort of signal that you want to send. I'm always taking notes. I'm always about doing the correct thing. You want to be, I think Dave Chappelle had said that one time, you want to be sending off that, this seems like someone who would snitch. Yeah, we don't want to get somebody else because he sure enough seemed like he going to snitch on us. You better believe it. Got my snitch pad out right now. Even though snitch wouldn't be the correct word there because you're not doing this for a personal gain. You are doing this to, hey, can we get back to having a safe, professional work environment? That is not snitching. You are practicing justice, or at least attempting to do the just correct thing. Anyway, I checked in with the bot because I said sometimes they do have great suggestions for the workplace even great counter-racist suggestions sometimes. I asked about tips for minimizing sexual abuse, unwanted touching in the workplace, and I importantly asked for males and females. Professional boundary skills. Maintain physical distance. Keep a standard arm's length during conversations. Minimize closed door meetings. Meet in open areas or keep office doors open. Big fan of that one. Limit personal sharing. Hey, that moron talk about that type of thing all the time. Keep conversations focused strictly on work tasks and professional topics. I swear, that idiot, he say something right close to that on a regular, almost darn near weekly basis, don't he? Avoid ambiguous touch. I love it, love it, love it. Refuse or redirect unsolicited hugs, shoulder rubs, or casual touches. I love it. And that's one. Hey, what my man Walter Beach III, Super Bowl champion, or not Super Bowl champion, but NFL champion. It wasn't called Super Bowl at that time. NFL champion, teammate of Jim Brown, Walter Beach III. He said, hey, cut it at the knees. They come up and do that old rubbing on the shoulder. Grab their hand. Let's keep it professional, or I'd appreciate if you not touch me. You could just make it plain. Grab their hand, step away. I'd appreciate if you not touch me. Thank you. Professional distance. Thank you. Lots of ways you can, whichever way you think fits your personality that you're comfortable with, but make it plain. You step away, you do the nonverbal in addition to the please don't touch me. And you're not yelling, you're not cursing, and please don't touch me, but it's firm, it's serious, and you step away and you grab their hand off your shoulder or whatever it is. We had a young lady investor, she had a white one on her job who would just come and hug her, all that, and I asked Fuller about that one too. Do not touch me. We got the Rona, the cooties, all that. I have children. Back up. Back up. I do not do all that hugging and slobbing on everybody. Do you hug and slob all over the mailman when he comes in? Fuller said that exactly too, like, hey, wait a minute. Am I supposed to hug and do all this with everybody here? Because I didn't sign up for all that now. Is this a brothel? What's going on here? When the UPS man comes off the truck, I'm supposed to come out there and rub and hug and all that. Come on. We got the Rona, don't we? Let's be professional. We don't even need to do all that handshake. We got some counselors, they said, I don't even do all that handshake. And they were saying that before the Rona. We can save some of the hand sanitizer, all those restroom trips to go and wash our hands. We just brush elbow quickly, and we don't even have to do all that. You did a good job, Helen. Did a good job, Roger. Way to go. Let's be professional, courteous, get back on it. Come on. Deflect. Oh, wait a minute. Use firm body language. We heard this one before. Maintain direct eye contact. Stand tall and speak clearly. It was even caution. You can't stand too tall if you're a black male. Deflect inappropriate humor. Respond to sexual jokes with silence or a neutral, deadpan question. They get back to the question. Silence, I love. You are not required to say anything. And generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking in the workplace, it is challenging to get in trouble when you don't say anything. Not always, but generally speaking. But in that context, someone is making some sort of, whatever, there's a lewd comment. That's another one. In fact, you can double whammy. You don't have to say a word. That's another one. You can just whip out your device or the old pen and pad, write down what was said. The same ruthless documentation, and then go right back to work. Even if you got to say anything, you can hit them with the Fuller. and then you proceed with your professional workday. Actionable strategies for all employees is still strategies for the trying to prevent sexual abuse in the workplace. Document everything immediately. Write down dates, times, location, verbatim quotes, and witnesses. Save physical evidence. Keep copies of inappropriate emails, texts, notes, or chat logs. Say no clearly. Use direct phrases like "do not touch me" or "that is unprofessional and unsafe." Report to HR early. Familiarize yourself with the company's formal harassment policy and reporting channels. Really, that's why I say ask that question about the company's sexual harassment policy when you're going through training. That is about as early as you could possibly ask when you first walk through the door of the company. That lets everyone know this is something that I take serious. Safety in the workplace. That lets them know immediately, not an easy mark. Possible snitch here. Might have to pick somebody else. Find trusted report to HR early. Familiarize yourself with your company's formal harassment policy and reporting. I said that one. Find trusted allies. Build a network of workplace colleagues who can vouch for your professional character. Consult external resources. Know how to contact EEOC or local labor boards if internal reporting fails. When it comes to sexual harassment, that might be a police report as well, so that might also count as one of the external sources. Specific considerations for males. Do not dismiss warning signs. Take unsolicited or uncomfortable touch from coworkers seriously. And again, sexual harassment can be touch or verbal. Unsolicited or uncomfortable commentary as well. Report peer pressure. Speak up if male-dominated groups encourage locker room talk or hazing behaviors. Document female-to-male harassment. Recognize that harassment crossing gender lines is equally illegal and reportable. Specific considerations for females. Call out benevolent, in quotes, sexism. Correct patronizing language, nicknames, or protective behaviors that compromise your authority. I'm such an advocate. No nicknames. Do not allow other people to call you nicknames, like any sort of nicknames. Nothing sexual, foxy. None of that. That's what I said. We're not trying to look all cute and stuff, but professional. But I'm such a big advocate. No nicknames. This is what's on my birth certificate, driver's license. This is the name that I filled out on the employment application. This is what I'm to be called every time. No nicknames. None that you all made up as supposed to be a term of endearment. None of that. And it would be the same stance even if I worked with all people classified as black. Let's just, so many times I work with so many environments where people don't even have the decency, courtesy, intelligence, all of the above, to get your name right or to learn a person's name correctly that they work with before we get to all these nicknames and all the rest of it. Just call the person by their name. We are at work. We're not in school. We're not juveniles. Just call the person by their name. No nicknames. No nickname. I'm of the opinion as well. That's one that can be the start of the further and greater mistreatment, discourtesy, not calling you by your correct title, coming up with these old goofy nicknames and all the rest of it. Nope. Just call me by my name every time. No nicknames. Thank you. Protect authority. Use assertive communication styles that emphasize your professional rank and expertise. Again, I think, too, that goes back to we're not here talking about TV shows and a lot of nonsense. The only thing we're here to talk about is the job. That way I'm always someone who's talking about serious things because I'm talking about work. very exit routes. Now, that's something I wouldn't have thought of. Avoid predictable, isolated routines if you feel a specific colleague is shadowing you. Now, that, although I know we did talk about switching it up in terms of once you get in your vehicle, varying the routes that you drive home, but not in terms of routes and how you exit the building and that sort of thing. I know we talked about making sure you park at the very front. I said we had a young lady where white male coworker was leaving notes on her car. Now it's lighter, so I mean, hey, if you leave work at 5, 6 o'clock, it's still super bright outside, so maybe it's not quite as hazardous. But way back, wintertime, early spring, autumn, oh man, you come out and it's dark, man, that is super smooth. That's what I was saying, like try to park super lit area, park towards the front of the building if you can. Let people know. Escort. They've had that. We've had many people talk about that in their workplace. Even sometimes they will escort the dudes out because they know it is dangerous. We don't know what could be happening out there. We got to escort Leroy too. And if you are a male, do not be afraid or ashamed. Request an escort. If it's anything odd been happening, vehicles been getting carred, anything like that, ask for an escort. Y'all can go out as a group, and I've seen that too, where they go out as a group to leave the building. That way nobody is isolated, nobody's alone, you can't jump anybody, what have you. If something happens, everybody's out in the parking lot at the same time, and they even try to park together, so we all can kind of make sure we're all safe and we're gone and we actually left. It's not something where somebody's car has been messed over and they got stuck and left behind. We all kind of make sure that we all are out and good to go. Excellent safety strategy for folks, especially if you work one of those shifts where you know you leave late at night. Have a safety plan together so that you are not one of those vulnerable employees, male or female. Folks have any suggestions to minimize sexual abuse in the workplace for males and or females? Let us know if you have any tips for how you have dealt with that yourself. Grand. I'll get our emails and then see if other folks have commentary, suggestions to share. Let's see. Email number 1. Okay. Hi, Gus, Cal's audience. Last Thursday, when I got into the office, Keisha, who is black, was standing up by our race soldier manager, Tristan's desk, speaking with him. He was sat opposite the desk I've been allocated so I could hear their conversation. She was inviting him to lunch as she and Monique, also black, had made plans and wanted to know if he would join them. She then turned to me and said, "We didn't invite you because you don't like coming to lunch with us." Sorry. This was before 10 a.m. and I hadn't even sat down for the day. I kept my composure but was annoyed for the whole day. Wait a minute. Let me get my sound clip. Wait a minute. Indeed. Another one having correct expectations about, hey, this is the black team, black brothers, black sisters, correct expectation. But I mean, that's how to start your day off. They're going to, "Greetings, white man, suspected racist. We just want to know if you would come out and have lunch with us. Of course, we'll pay for you." And that beat it, nigger woman. We didn't ask you. Get on. Satan, get thee behind me. Let's go, white man. Dang, that is a rough way to start the day. I'm glad she didn't invite me. What annoyed me was the narrative and saying it in front of Tristan for more ammunition. I've never said I didn't like going to lunch with her or anyone else. I don't, but that's besides the point. She doesn't like me, nor does Monique or Tristan or anyone there, and I'm fine with that. She and Monique are gossips and only want to pry into my business, which is why I avoid them as much as possible. I can spend my lunch break how I want. And none of this would never be an issue if I was white. I do think that is crucial because, man, I want any of you all to imagine. Same two black females, victims. If this was a white female, white transgender, white male, white elderly, white in a wheelchair, white whatever, she, he, they walked in, and these two black females, they go over and talk to, same thing, hey, whitey, we're going to do lunch. You come out with us. We have a good time. It's going to be great. We pay your way, blah, blah, blah. You pick what we're going to do, Italian, Mexican, whatever. We figure it out when we get there. They turn around and see the white person. The other white person. We were going to invite you, but we know you don't like going out with us. Let's go, Tristan. Like, no way in this. So much of that is, this is just the reserved for our black brothers and black sisters. This sort of behavior. If you had been white, they would have been mum. I totally acknowledge I could be wrong, but man, I told them. Carter G. Woodson wrote about this 100 years ago. I believe he is still accurate, and I don't think they would have said a mumbling word. They would have went and got their lunch and came back. Hey, if you were white, they might have come back and bought you a tiramisu if they got Italian or Ethiopian. Continuing. I reported Harry's division has grown by around 12 new people. We spent the last 2 divisional meetings introducing ourselves by each person giving a short presentation on who they are. One racist suspect had a photo of him doing one of his hobbies, which involves doing live reenactments. He was dressed as a zombie, which is interesting as they are not real and technically would be dead. I suspect something racist is happening. Race soldier Emma, who took the chair I was seated at last Christmas, used to be a school teacher. I don't know where or how many non-white children were in her classes, but it doesn't surprise me that she was in that profession. The zombie reenactments, that's... White people invest a lot of time and energy on the zombies. That even goes back to Haiti, since we had Mr. Kator mentioned earlier, but that's another time and place. Work avoidant Wanda shamelessly asked everyone to feel free to remind her about work as she's forgetful, blaming her menopause and stating she makes no apologies for that. I think she's incompetent and making excuses. She also informed us that her menopause means she needs to log off for an hour or so during the day, but she'll log on during the evening. I would check the receipts on that, lazy heifer. Continuing, there was a discussion about the books people are reading, as a few people talked about reading as hobby pastime. Right-wing Ashley informed everyone that when she was at school, she would read the first and last few pages of the books she was allocated, which sounds about right to me. Operation Varsity Blues. Can't get up. For people who do not remember, Operation Varsity Blues is, I think it's like either early 2020s or like late 2010s. But lots of these white people were paying lots of, like millions sometimes, of dollars to get into elite universities where they were totally not deserving. They would fake and pretend that they were on like lacrosse teams and all that same type of thing. Like I read the first page of the book and the last page of the book, or I showed up for the lacrosse team photo. That counts. I was on the team, like that type of thing. But they lied and did all this fakery so they could say they went to all these prestigious schools and everything. Some people went to jail and got in trouble. We talked about it before. Lots of racism, white supremacy through and through. For some reason, people were surprised and slightly horrified, or at least pretended to be. Phoebe is going to start a book club, to add to the crossword session she runs every Wednesday afternoon, and Emma is setting up an online chess club too. This is like a lot of recreational activities and such. Like, are we here to work, or are we here to do? we got the chess club and the book club and the bridge club and the knitting club. Like, wait a minute. What people? When do they work? We do actually work, don't we? And it can't be that we got people that are shiftless and lazy and say they can't even remember how much work they got to do, but I'm sure enough going to be at the book club. Like, wait a minute. Like, and you'll see a lot of this culture in work environments, in the system of white supremacy, just the laziness on top of laziness and all this attention. We got to have extra meetings and take work time when we are getting paid to be doing our assignment. Oh, no. We got to plan for the birthday, parties and the Christmas extravaganza, and who's going to put the decorations up, and we got to plan, Peggy Sue's retirement party and all this old nonsense. Like, what? That's not in my duties and responsibilities. Peggy's retirement party. Like, come on, man. She says, I have attended the crossword session a few times out of curiosity and to learn new words, right on, but I cannot stand Phoebe's snooty attitude. Either way, we actually have serious work to do. That's what I'm saying. Like, damn, did they pay us to be in the chess club and the book club? Like, man, what? Man, I'm going to tell you one thing. You pick any job you want to. We take it. You want to get back to McDonald's? I'm going to get my chicken nuggets, my McFlurry. I get to the McDonald's, and that heifer at the drive-thru then said, wait a minute. Look here, Gus T, I know you need that McFlurry, but we got crossword puzzle club for 15 minutes, so we have to, if you could just pull forward and we'll get that McFlurry right on to you. But, I mean, hey, you want us to increase our vocabulary, don't you? What? That's at the McDonald's. I would be furious. Like, I would be at Hardee's so fast. Like, what? You tell me you work at a serious job and you got all the are y'all at high school or you at like? I thought they had the chess club and the book. That's like high school. You got all your clubs and all that old good stuff, and you can go and hang out, and that's great. That's awesome. We are at work now. Let's be adults. That's why we don't need all the birthday, parties and all the rest of that's what you do in high school, elementary school, You get your cupcakes and we go do the birthday parties. Come on. The serious work which doesn't involve playing games. Jesus Christ. One thing I will say, if you are classified as black, and it's what they call it, metaphor, double-edged sword, where you can get in trouble either way. That's the system of white supremacy. I would prefer to err on the side of being serious. You're not going to get me, and he wasn't slack. He didn't take this job serious, and you spent too much time goofing off and doing the parties and trying to organize happy hour. If you had put a little bit more time into the bottom line, maybe you would have got that promotion. No, sir. That's not going to be on my critique. It's going to be the other way around. You spent too much time focused on the bottom line and didn't even do happy hour. Nope. I was focused on trying to get that raise. Well, see, the happy hour is chess club is important. That's what it's going to be like. You're going to have to drag me over to the chess club. I might check one time just to see who was here. What are y'all doing? How long does this last? See, I got a question. I'm curious, see. But, no, I'm not. I'm hanging out. How long does this, that's an important one. How long does this last? How long do y'all, is this during work hours? Y'all sit around and what now? What? Who is it? Let me write that down. Who is here? And what department? Let us start having some delays or whatever. That's going to be another one. I'm going to snitch to the heavens. We got delays. Do you know how many clubs we got? Don't let there be a correlation between the delays we got. Who's in the chess club? Be serious, man. We didn't sign up to go to work to be a part of no chess club. And all that. We got the book club is Catherine Massey. That's Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're going to wear new Jim Crow out. But that's not what we need to do in the work. And you might get fired talking bad about new Jim Crow in the workplace. Man, you better not say nothing bad about Michelle Alexander. Let's see. Much obliged for the email. Got through that one. I think I cannot say enough. Nothing matters with regards to counter-racism in the workplace. This is your own particular form of counter-racism, Neely Fuller Jr.'s brand of counter-racism, Dr. Kamal Bond's brand of counter-racism, your personal code and logic of counter-racism. None of it matters if you do not maintain your composure. You have to have an expectation. Mistreatment is going to happen in some form. If it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it's next week. If I get lucky enough for all that time, they're going to wear me out this autumn. That's the way you have to think. You can take it. I'll be pleasantly disappointed. It doesn't happen. Hey, right on. I'll enjoy the day and stay ready. But that has to be, it can't be, I am shocked. My black sisters came in and said, what? No. You have to expect that, and then as a result, I can catch myself. Even I can catch my nonverbals, even if I don't say anything. I don't even do all that cutting a side eye. No. Don't even change my facial expression. All right. You all have a great lunch. I'll talk to you later. And we keep right on cruising through the day, saying in my brain computer, I'm going to write that down. And that is exactly why I do not go out to get nary a lunch assaulting cracker with you victims of racism. And Tristan. Like, no thank you. I'm going to stay right here, lunch by myself, and get out of here pronto. No thank you. I don't need no doggy bag either. Swango me. Let's see the email. untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. We have folks who have hands up. We have folks who have, again, tips about the sexual abuse to prevent before it even gets started. So they know, don't even get started this way. If we have preventive tips, preemptive measures, that is super appreciated. Let's see, folks who dialed in with a hand up. Let's see. Victim should be with us. I'll nab other hands as I see them.
Don't may be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I just wanted to briefly comment on the sexual harassment in the workplace. I've been working at the department for the LA County Department for quite some time, and there is that subtle, I wouldn't call it subtle, but there is a level of sexual harassment that constantly happens if you are young when it comes to your older and co-workers. And I guess it's kind of understood because when I got there, a lot of people really didn't think anything of it. Even when I would report, is it normal for employees to say, oh, I love chocolate around the black guy. So, and when I would ask other older black male employees, they really didn't think it was any problem, I guess. But I would also agree with all your suggestions about trying to avoid sexual harassment in the workplace. But I guess as time goes on, you learn how better to just avoid people in general. Because that's, again, at my work site now, I typically avoid a lot of people but people still seeking out to come and talk to me and ask me questions. Just about their lives and things going on, but but I just want to comment about that at the moment, and I am aware of that chemical accident that happened in Long Beach. I believe the sky turned a little yellow in that direction of the city when that happened. But yeah, that's all for now. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
He said the Snoop is rolling over in his grave. Jesus Christ. Summertime in the LBC. He said the sky, I hadn't seen that in the news. He said the sky turned a little shade. Sky was a touch jaundiced after the chemical. Man, woo! I told y'all, I said, for whatever reason, it is never easy breathing in Southern California, LA area. Whew. Whew. You do not take your respiration for granted. Sky, that's typical day in LA. It was a little bit Laker colors. Hey, gonna get it, Luka. We gonna get it next year, man. Did I make sure I'm not being ignorant? See, because I mishear it. Did we get another Welsing moment? He said that they just take it for granted and look at you strange. They give you the side eye that, yes, I said I love me some Leroy. Oh, chocolate Leroy. I love me some chocolatey Leroy. That's my favorite employee. Make my mouth water. He said that was a common thing, and nobody thought anything of it, and even looked at you strange for bringing something up about this as being maybe unprofessional.
Hello, Gus. Is that a question for me?
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat it, please?
Yes, sir. That it was, I guess, a male or males, black, who were affectionately referred to as chocolate in your workplace, and when you would point out, like, dang, maybe this is unprofessional, something that we ought not do, no one thought it a problem, and in fact, they looked at you like you were the lied.
Yes, sir. So yeah, when that was happening, I was quite younger, and I guess I was on probation at the time as well. So they already developed a culture in that work site of quote unquote saying comments, and then the director or the manager of that area was also in support of this type of behavior. He looked at it as jokes and being funny, but from listening to the C.O.W.S, I learned that that type of behavior is really unacceptable for a workplace. Even though it's been low level, and even in other places I've worked, at least working in a bank, there was there was levels of sexual harassment. Female employees adjusting their clothing around you where you can see their undergarments, stuff like that. It was always something like that. But so when I reported to or asked other black male coworkers, older ones, about it, they kind of just it's what it is. I mean, I guess they themselves did not want to make a big to do about it. Maybe because of their situations, didn't want to. They probably feared retaliation or some kind of blowback or something. But yeah, that exactly happened.
That even with the wardrobe there, another one why I say, hey, on the job, you are not looking to show off all your goodies, make sexual impressions on your coworkers. Do that on your free time. These are the people, you don't want that to be the image that they have of you when it's time for a raise. Real for real. You do not want that to be the image that they have of you when it's time for a raise. You want them thinking management material. Really, the more sinister component, you don't want them thinking that image of you. It's time for a raise. Propositions. Preemptive. And even I can grasp some of the folks who say, hey, I don't want to, as they say, rock the boat, cause no trouble. And, them call it, they could call you a lot of things much worse than chocolate. True. But this would be grasped immediately. There wouldn't even be a need for this conversation if old Victim Cubed here, if he, Jamal, Leroy, you pick any work environment, the white female employees there, if every time they saw them, that old vanilla, my favorite scoop of vanilla ice cream, delicious as she want to be, it would be immediately understood. That might be criminal. Where's the rope? It would be immediately understood. That is unprofessional. That is unsafe. That is totally inappropriate for the workplace and maybe for planet Earth. Why black chocolate? I just do not grasp that. Maybe if this is your care mate, maybe, but we're in the workplace. I do not want to be thought of as chocolate by none of my co-workers, colleagues, even if, can I say again, even if they are all classified as black, hey, they are all distant cousins of Harriet Tubman. That does not do anything for my self-esteem, my bank account, my black self-respect. Like, what? Calling me chocolatey? Like, what? What? Much less white people might be involved or watching this or come on. Be perfect. That's why I say, hey. Leroy is fine. Gus is fine. Just the name, nothing else. My old caramel nougat. Hey. Gus is fine. Let's just stick with the names. Thank you. And Fuller even got that in the, I think he has that in the Word Guide or the Code Book. I have to go back, but he talks about that directly. I think it's in the Word Guide. I have to go back and look. This one, you can quote me because I think I'm accurate. Because I think we've read this some years back where he talks about not referring to black people as food and snacks and such. It just does not send a correct message. And delectable Negro, of course, but that's just not the message that we want to send. We're talking about human beings. We're not talking about, you are not a cookie. You're not a cinnamon roll. You're not a chocolate bar. Universal man. Universal woman. That's what the goal is, not no Snicker bar. Like, come on. We had Mr. Goodbar. That old nonsense. We had enough of that, man. Much obliged, Victim. Let's see. Also in California, north of the near chemical disaster, although the sky was yellow. I don't know if they had yellow skies in the Bay Area. Bay Area mom should be with us as well. Might be muted. Not hearing you, Bay Area mom. Not hearing, still might be muted. Not sure if you're having audio issues or might be sidetracked. Not sure, but not picking up your audio. Bay Area mom, not picking up your audio. We'll give you a second or two and see if it pops back in. Anywho, we should be here. I mentioned the book club, not in the workplace. The Catherine Massey Book Club, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Friday. That would be tomorrow. We will resume with the new Jim Crow, Michelle Alexander, Lies and Lies and lies. But that'll be tomorrow. Looking forward. I think we are even at the halfway point of the book. If we have any folks who have not been with us for the book club and think that that book is grand, maybe you got a free copy, signed copy, and you think it is great, well, you should catch up and tune in as we have been dissecting, scholarly dissection, I might add, of the red bone deception that is the new Jim Crow. Wow. Blasphemous work. I can't even, I'm being generous even to call it scholarship. It's lies. It's just a package of lies. But that's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Counter-Racist Weekly Review this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll catch up on our upcoming white guests, other relevant material. All these chemical explosions all up and down the West Coast. Preview of our summer to come. I can't breathe. Let's see. Bay Area Mom. Let's see. I'll double check, make sure. Catherine Massey Book Club on Friday. Bay Area Mom might be with us. Maybe not. All right. We'll check back in maybe down the road. I'll double check. See if other folks have commentary to share as well. But Catherine Massey Book Club Friday. Counter-Racist Weekly Review on Saturday, and then we'll update the upcoming white guests as we boogie on into summer of 2026. If folks have other thoughts, observations to share, especially if any folks have suggestions to help non-white people stay safe from sexual abuse and help non-white males, non-white females stay safe from sexual abuse in the workplace, *61, let us know. Do not wait till the last minute if you have a thought or so to share. We'll give folks like another 5 minutes or so. That'll give me time to double check with Bay Area Mom, see if we lost her permanently or something happened. Hopefully she's safe. We'll do a prayer of safety, make sure she's well down there in California. But we'll check in and make sure she's all right, and then see if other folks have a thought to share as well. Let's see. Checking just to make sure. I know I had checked the news because they have so many reports about racism in the workplace in the news all the time. The Gothamist, they had a report just yesterday, May 27. IBM hit with racial bias claim in New York that also points finger at Trump. Which finger? A former New York-based IBM employee accused the company of favoring South Asian workers at the expense of African Americans and blamed the Trump administration's anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion policies as the impetus for the alleged wrongful treatment, according to a racial discrimination lawsuit filed in federal court in White Plains. That's even yuck. They had that big kerfuffle like 10 years ago, I think, like circa 2016, to change the logo and everything of White Plains, New York, because the logo for the town literally is a white man, race soldier, stomping on a non-white person. Like it was on TV, they had news reports and all of this. They voted, and of course, white culture, we are not changing a bleeping thing. White Plains. The plaintiff, Annette Brooks, worked at IBM for 26 years. Pause. Didn't I just say Michelle Alexander? Lion Michelle Alexander, new Jim Crow. Unless Gus T is an absolute buffoon moron, which might be true. Michelle Alexander, cowbell, one white parent, one black parent. Her black father worked at IBM and was treated in such a disgraceful and racist manner, they were darn near homeless, she wrote about. He was denied promotions, raises, all of what I just said when it's promotion time. You want me to think of me as management material. We ain't think of no Negro Michelle Alexandra's daddy as no management material. We don't even want him here. But unless I am a total liar, and I'm as bad as Michelle Alexander. I just on here making up things and lying. Her black dad, victim of white supremacy at IBM. Ain't nothing changed, because that was, we talking about like in the 1970s, 80s. So 50 years later, half century, ain't nothing changed. It continues. Annette Brooks worked at IBM for 26 years, according to the lawsuit, most recently as vice president, IBM Z Data and AI, but was laid off last year amid what she alleges was consistent preferential treatment of South Asian employees over black employees within IBM. The lawsuit, which seeks $1.1 million in damages and other costs, also claimed that IBM removed several qualified black employees in order to appease the Trump administration and remain favored by the Defense Department and other government agencies with large IBM contracts. A spokesperson for IBM, a global technology company with headquarters in Armonk, said in a statement that the allegations were baseless and that race had played no role in the plaintiff's job termination, adding that the company does not tolerate discrimination of any sort. Well, unless, and I think Michelle Alexander has talked about this, I mean, whom else would it be? Unless Michelle Alexander is a liar and or Gus T. Renegade can't remember a cotton-picking thing. I say touche, IBM, contraire, IBM, that Michelle Alexander's father say that ain't true. You all have a long record of tolerating all sorts of white supremacy, racism, and not, exact same thing really, not promoting, valuing talented, competent, qualified black employees. Half centuries worth of track record of the exact same behavior. I'll double check myself to make sure I'm not on here lying to you all, being disgraceful. Really, but it would be, hey, I'm just doing the same thing Michelle Alexander did with New Jim Crow. If I'm wrong, if I'm right, hey, phew, I'm a billion times better than the slop she put out. Facts all day long. Let's see. But that's the Gothamist. I'll stop there. The report goes on to detail more about IBM in New York State. I don't think Michelle Alexander's father was in New York State, but check. That's why I said I would be checking all the time. If I worked at IBM, I would want that. I'd want Michelle Alexander's dad, what he had to say. You put all that in your dossier. Not that you need to bring this up in the workplace, but this is just for you, just in case. And for you to be informed about the place where you work. You can even ask questions, too, to make sure, what are we doing to make sure that the allegations in this report are false? To make sure that we do have an environment that is totally responsive to any charges of white supremacy, racism, and intolerant of such conduct. Still in the question lane. See if they treat you like Michelle Alexander's black father. Let's see. Let me double check as we wind it down. Make sure I don't miss Bay Area Mommy. Again, hoping she's safe and such. Did you have commentary to share? Making sure we didn't miss you or having tech difficulties. Hit your mute button. Bay Area Mommy. Okay. Maybe she got called away. Different task again. Hoping, sending lots of good energy and safety to her. Hoping she's safe, taken care of, doing well. And hopefully we'll hear from her down the road. Other folks, you'll have last 3 minutes or so. If you have any comments or so, you need to get in for today. Make sure I didn't miss any emails and or make sure I didn't miss if folks have any suggestions to make sure we can avoid any forms of sexual harassment in the workplace. I will make sure to update our future broadcasts on the Saturday program. Probably not tomorrow because we'll be locked for the book club, but Saturday we'll update for white guests and what we will be chatting it up about as we go into June, summertime. Again, folks, if you have non-white children, it's a little late because, I mean, some people, like, the academic year already ended, right? And then June is like days away, so it's a little late. But attempted parents, if you are thinking about or have thought about and you just have not successfully locked down summer employment for your offspring, get on the ball. You can be looking online. I'm always partial, especially now since they're having heat waves already in all these different locations, always partial to things where your child can be in the air conditioning. Don't have to get some grueling work experience. I mean, they're probably going to experience racism immediately on their first job. Why do they have to be dehydrated and in a drought too? AC for the first job. See if you can get some at the library, something they don't have to be grueling, but check and see. Even maybe you know your child, presumably, find out where some of their interests are. Maybe you could get a summer employment where they can already take on a job that's kind of in a career they're already thinking about to see, do I really like this? Let me see what this actually looks like up close in person. Then do I think I would like doing this for, a consistent period of time? That sort of thing. And see what they think. But I mean, if that's not, again, now we waited kind of late. You can it's a lot easier if you have that as a plan where you can start working on that. March, February, April, not so much June, but hey, see what you can do. If you're looking for employment, and again, it would be looking for employment and then working on your child's beginning of their counter-racist workplace understanding and their counter-racist code for themselves for how they want to operate in the workplace. Great. You can be talking to them about what happens on the job, policy and procedure. What did they learn? What did they see? How were they treated? All of that. What to expect. What was your first job like? When was the first time you experienced racism on your job? All of that. When was the first time you became aware of the racism that you were experiencing and that was being practiced against you in the workplace? Excellent opportunities to expand your conversation about racism, white supremacy as a total system with your child. Include labor. Let's see. Hanging out while we wait for a Bay Area mom or check in. Our caller down at the courthouse in Florida should be with us as well. Feel free.
Oh, yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and callers. Gus, I was thinking about one of the points that you made about, I think you were speaking about maybe something concerning the dress code in the workplace. I did have like an update where a white supervisor has been wearing these inappropriate, I guess, kind of dress type, type of outfits or whatnot, and a victim of racism that said that other supervisors or administrators, I guess, have noticed it and didn't really do anything about it. And she's been taking notes on that. But she did say it was a reaction that came from her where she was kind of scared and I guess having to run out of the back door to go change clothes, things like that. And I'm not sure what the update may be on that one, but I wanted to share that. And in terms of the white guy who I think he was going to get fired or something, but I believe other race soldiers helped arrange a new position for him in the court area, the courts. So he was able to do that transfer in style, I guess. But I noticed, I've been informed that it was someone they were considering to give his position to that was a non-white person, and the person turned it down. And after that, someone who was a black male was, I believe, approached, or I was told was approached on being offered the position after that first person that's non-white, and he as well turned it down. So I'm not sure what could be coming from that, because they do have this pattern of where they won't give something to a black person or won't assign a black person that position until, you know, a white person isn't there anymore or has left or mysteriously leaves that position empty or whatever. Like the white woman I mentioned about some years ago, Gus, if you remember, she wore this blazer or this suit jacket, and it had a stain on it, and she was doing it. I think a victim told me it was being done to do an experiment to see who would approach her to say, hey, you know, did you know you have this on your jacket or whatever? So that person was only occupying that position for almost a year, and she left, and then a black person was given that position in the civil area. So that person was also mistreated in the area of traffic and was given a position after a white man had retired back in 2016. So that's another thing I've noticed being on the job, where they'll do that with victims of racism. And along with that, like I mentioned with the white guy who is unprofessional and don't know how to talk to people, you know, they won't have the same kind of criteria or the standards to hire them. They can have a GED or, you know, well, hey, you know, they tried to make it through, and, you know, we'll just try and give them a chance. And it's things that they'll fabricate, like something I heard of called a suspension, a work suspension notice or something like that. Usually it's for a white employee who's been problematic and, you know, cursing them out and all kind of things like that. But if it's someone that looks like me, you know, and then we have bailiffs and sheriffs and stuff like that, you can get sent out of handcuffs or anything. But that's another thing I wanted to make mention. And there was 2 black employees. One is a supervisor, 2 black males, and, you know, they're comfortable with speaking with each other, and they'll be speaking about the issue of race in some kind of way. And now when the white person in the area, you know, he isn't there, you know, they'll bring up, you know, something connected to racism. And one guy said I was like, cause I don't really get involved in any of these kind of discussions. It's like how you mentioned about politics and things like that. Like, I don't really get involved unless it's talking about something work related. What can I learn more about records and copy requests, things like that? And they're talking about going to a white person's house, and it seemed like it might have been in the Cowbell area, Gus, because the other black male asked, well, was he a racist? Do you think he's racist? And the other victim said, well, not that racist, because he would have kicked us out of the house or something, and we're bigger than him. And it just sounded I was like, oh man, they're talking about this over here. So I was like, I didn't really understand like that racist or this racist. So that's what they were discussing on that matter. And other than that, I'm still waiting to see what ends up happening with the white person, because it looks like he's going to take the job upstairs where another white person is going to leave that job and he gets to get that job. So it's someone that he knows, I'm thinking definitely, is giving him the hookup, to be expected. And that's all I have to share right now. Thanks again for the program, and have a good one.
I love it. Not that racist. Much obliged. Our caller at the courthouse. He said that the other worker at the courthouse is taking notes, observing that they have white employees who are not abiding by the dress code, and nothing is done about it. Oh, man, you could have added, like, buddy, I got at least a good, I don't know, few dozen pages of reports on that sort of thing where they violate the dress code every day, man. They got to wear the FAMU paraphernalia and the leggings, and I mean every kind of violation you want on the dress code. Like, you don't tell me what to wear. I'm a white woman. I dare you, in fact, to come in here and tell me I got to change my leggings. So he said one of them was dressed. They had the Grinch outfit, and that violated the policy and procedure about the dress code too. He said, I dare you to make me take my green Grinch outfit off. I dare you. I double dare you. Like, come on. That's every day. I would add, though, I would document. I would not take that as license for you as a non-white person to then go and not abide by the dress code. Now, I would used to not think that way. Now, I would do the exact same thing I said before, earlier today. Real bland. You wear the exact same colors, types of trousers, blouse, whatever. Your work, basically self-imposed work uniform. Same thing every day, because I'm really not trying to attract attention to my wardrobe. Trying to get a raise, promotion. I want the focus to be on my professional conduct, competent performance, not my threads. See? Or hair, nothing else. See? So, no, we're not doing no flashy dressing. And just because the white people break the dress code every day, I'm not going to follow suit and do the same thing. I'm just following it for, do we have, really, that's a constitutional violation. Do we have equal protection under the law? Or do the rules and regulations only apply to some people here? Brilliant, but write it down. Thorough documentation. And it particularly if it's, because I thought, was it the black employee who they would come bust at her, and she said, man, I was feeling like I had to run out the back of use the slave exit, I guess, and go and change my clothes correctly. Was it a black employee who was having to do all that?
Oh, that was that white woman that was wearing those short dresses. The victim pointed out, black female, and she said that like one of the administrators will come by and won't really mention anything, and other times she'd wear those kind of dresses and nothing won't get mentioned to her. And I'm glad you mentioned that black people shouldn't take that as a means to try and do the same thing, because I think one of the victims mentioned that as well, like she would want to go try and do it, and like, oh, well, they better not say nothing to me. I just didn't say anything. I say, well, just keep documenting that, because I guess I don't know. I guess that's how they're trying to approach it, but that's not going to help the black person. That's going to make more problems for the black person. But that was a white woman that after one of the meetings, like that next week, she ran down the stairs exit to say that she was going to go change clothes.
Again, Fuller did recommend, we're not going into the workplace to make sexual impressions on our colleagues and such. So this really, I know Florida is hot now and everything, but I mean, this is not, I cannot wait to go to work and show off all that. They have clubs and all that. They got the beach in Florida. So, I mean, you got a lot of opportunities. If you want to go and show off and make your sexual impression, you can do that. The workplace is not the environment for any of that. I would say especially if you are classified as black. Like, oh man, you do not want to get in all that at all. Incidentally, I don't think I want to wear anything to work where I got to go through a whole lot of like changes. Like, I guess it's one thing if you got another appointment immediately following work that requires you to be in different attire, that's totally different. But I mean, just because you want to be randy in the workplace, and so now I got to do all this switching around, and come on, man, time and energy. We got another one. Fuller told us, he said, white people don't get fired, they get transferred. So we got another incompetent white person. They were to be fired, and white people intervened. Sound like click type thing. And they made a new position. Now, even that, like, wow, like to just make a brand new position. They could have done that many times over. You know, the same thing Dr. Welsing said about all the black male unemployment. If you could just, poof, make new jobs. You could do that a bunch, right? But you got somebody who probably shouldn't even have had a job. Oh, no, we can't let them go completely. We just won't let them do that. We'll think something else for them to do. Like, wow. White people, even the dumb white people apparently, do not get fired. And he said for the black person, for them to start going, and some of these must be really like stressful, low paying, like just the worst of the worst jobs. They said they would go and offer them to the black people after everything. And they were like, no, thank you. You ain't even look out for it. Like, why would I want to do? No, I'm good. No, thank you. That was after the white people, he said the white person was gone or the white person didn't want the job anymore. After it's totally worthless, no salary, no career advancement. You don't even get a good office with this. And even still, we go to the old incompetent white person who should have been fired. You sure you don't want to try this one, Terry? You sure? If you don't, now I'm gonna go see if Leroy, because we do need somebody there. But if you want it, well, you can have it now. If you sure, now I'm gonna go. I guess we'll go give it to Leroy. You sure? Okay, we'll go ask. You'll see if Leroy. You know, they wait for the last, because he said they don't even really like to hire too many black males there. And then they go ask black people if they, got a job. If you in some terrible down in the cellar or something. And he pointed out the different standards for white people being hired, which is something I think has been flagrantly on display at the courthouse over the years that he has told us, with all the cronyism and nepotism of white people hooking their friends and relatives up. I remember that it was a white person, white woman, I believe, where they said, she's going to need a lot of hand-holding, meaning she's not too familiar with how to get things done efficiently. They had some of the folks, they didn't even know how to use the computer properly, couldn't type. I mean, all kinds of just, wow, how did you get this job? Your grandfather. Okay, I got it. Yeah. Or just, you're white. Oh, okay, I got it. So, I mean, that's why I even said with the rules, with the dress code, it's the same type of thing. Are the rules, the qualifications, are these just for the niggers? Or are these for everybody? Particularly with the qualifications for the job, frequently it seems like, oh no, that's just for you, Leroy. That's just for you, Lakeisha. The suspension of work duties. That is a new one. I don't think I'd heard that one either. He said they don't. Lakeisha don't get suspension of work duties. Lakeisha, you're fired. Terrence, white employee, they done cursed out somebody. What do you say? And taking a glass of orange juice, thrown it in an employee's face. Oh no, we don't fire. Suspension of work duties. Give you some time to think about what you've done. Can't throw orange juice in people's face around here. You have to behave yourself. And then they bring you back on. Like, wow, I've never heard that. Like, all the black people that I heard, they don't get suspension of work duties. They just got fired. Get out of here, Leroy. Get out of here, Lakeisha. I think you don't get no chance to think about what you've done, and I'm going to repent. I ain't going to do that no more, and I learned my lesson, and I want to keep my job. Get out of here. Security, got your cardboard box and everything. Different standards. Man, I have heard some unprofessional commentary in the workplace. Hey, I have participated in some unprofessional commentary in the workplace, talking about a white person being racist or not racist or not that racist publicly in the workplace. Wow. I mean, what adjective? Reckless? I don't even know what to. Woo! I mean, no filter? I mean, just wow. Hey, get a room. Why is this public workplace? Everybody just got to be listening. I can tell you from my experience, if you are not white, once you utter that word racism, anybody classified as white, you have got their attention. You don't have to be talking to them. When you are talking about their business now. What did that nigger say? I've seen this over. That's one of the first things that I saw. Like, oh man, we started talking about system of white supremacy publicly. White people I had never seen, never talked to, never met in my life would stop on a dime to come and get all in our conversation. What y'all talking about? What you doing tomorrow? You said racism about, yeah, that sounded interesting. Yeah, what you talking about now? I've seen that over and over. So once you say that, you're going to have their attention. And I cannot think of any context where you're a black dude or a black female at work and you're talking about a white person who your white coworkers may or may not know. You're talking about whether or not this person is racist. I do not want that coming to mind when it's time for me to get a raise or a promotion either. Just get a room. Really. Y'all don't have anything else to talk about? Ain't the playoffs? What Bron and them gonna do? Hey, you got Jacksonville. My man Tebow, has he been back in town? Y'all have nothing else to talk about? Jesus, be quiet. Don't say nothing. Be quiet. That also, just talking about everything in the workplace, especially when we get comfortable, because I've seen that where sometimes victims of racism, especially if you're working with one of your homies, this is somebody that I trust. We maybe went to school together or whatever. We've known each other for a long time, or we worked together for 15 years. So I got this person's back, they got my back, allegedly, whatever. And we just get so comfortable. We talk about any and everything out in public, at work. Woof, that is not recommended at all. You all can hang out after work, text, have some discretion. If you all spend that much time together, you should have a code where you can talk about things so that everybody doesn't have to be involved in the conversation. They could have been talking about same way I said you can call black people Canadians or Mondays earlier. Said, did you really thought he was one? I don't know. It's possible, He threw us out. Well, he did let us come in. See, even that, it sounds kind of bizarre. Like, hey, what are they? Y'all talk? I would even ask, like, what are y'all talking about? Oh, nothing. Just messing around, passing the time. How's you and me have to pivot? See, you have to be a lot more discreet. You just do not want to be talking recklessly in the workplace, and especially about racism. That is a recipe for disaster of epic proportions. And messing around, end up being one of his relatives worked there. What did you say about my nephew? And have that be the judge or somebody at the courthouse. Any hoodles. be serious with those, or I can't say be serious in the workplace. Be serious, even if you have homies and friends, and you could just nudge them. We'll talk about this later. You know, we don't want everybody paying attention. We'll talk about it later. Just have a little discretion in terms of what you talk about. I would not talk about racism publicly in the workplace. Maybe not even privately, because it's hard to tell who's listening and all the rest of it, but definitely not publicly. Talk about the raise, promotion, lots of other safer topics. Much obliged. Our caller at the courthouse, man, that for sure is a conversation. I heard anything like that as a black person. I'm walking by like, ooh, I would be intrigued just because, what? Not that, but that also would let me know, like, not very codified, run. Which, you know, in many ways, did they just say they were at a white person's house? Matter of fact, retract. It sounds like they're having to discuss, were we at a race soldier's house? Not very codified. Neither one of them. Could have been disastrous. Maybe it was, and that's what they talk. Apparently, it was so traumatizing they got to talk about it in the workplace. So, I don't want to know. They asked, "Hey, Gus, come in." No, I got to work. I'll talk to you later. Tough day. I got so many things to do. I don't have time to talk right now. I have to get on the lake. Try and rope me into their foolishness and get all three of us fired. Much obliged, caller at the courthouse. Always avoid a discussion like that in the workplace. Somebody trying to say, yeah, we were talking about whether our neighbor was racist. What? I'll talk to y'all later. Jesus. Let's see. Let me make sure I didn't throw away Bay Area Mom. Did we miss you, Bay Area Mom? Did you get back in there? Reckon not. Oh, well, we did our best. We will catch you next time. Safety, sending our warm thoughts and safety, counter-racist energy down to Bay Area Mom. Hopefully your sky is not yellow. We will be here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Catherine Massey Book Club, New Jim Crow, Session 7. The lies continue. And then Counter-Racist Weekly Review, Saturday. We'll review what has gone down as we get into summer 2026. Sobriety would be best. We just got through Memorial Day, at least hopefully most of us. As we get into summertime, they say this is like the 100 deadliest days on the road coming up over the summer. Alcohol is a massive chunk of that. We need fully functioning brain computers to solve the problem. So maybe ease off on the mad dog for the summertime. Drink a little bit more water so we can be hydrated and prolific thinkers. Creator, we ask that you remind us, stop saying not all white people are racist. They invited me to their house. They can't be racist. Stop name-calling people classified as black. Black self-respect. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Mm-hmm. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.